Hey everybody, welcome back to the homestead. My name is Emily. We are going to attempt the first garden tour of the season. This could be a futile effort because I have my great niece here with me in the garden today. So there'll be lots of distractions if nothing else. But we're going to start over here in the original section of the garden before we go into our new section that we added this year. First row here we have tomatoes. I've got my determinate tomatoes here, some San Marzanos and some Romas, and a whole lot of weeds. I do have some basil plants along that side, and on this side I had planted cilantro and dill, I believe, but almost all of them have died. I did see one. There's one cilantro left, and it is already gone to seed before I really got to do anything. So I'll just let it go to seed. We'll get some coriander or just some seeds to save for next time. And I have planted more seeds, but none of them have come up. I am planning to put tomato cages around these determinate tomatoes. They're looking really good. Got some flowers on here. And, you know, it's been so hot that the leaves are curling a bit, which is totally normal. That just helps them protect themselves from losing too much moisture. But pretty soon I need to get these tomato cages on before they start falling over. You can see this one is starting to lean, and then hopefully they'll be big enough to support them. The San Marzanos are kind of like a semi-determinate, so they may end up getting too big for the tomato cages, and I'll address that when the time comes. Hey. You can step on that stuff in the pathway. It's just weeds. Yeah, that's fine. I'm glad she's checking to make sure what she can step on or not. But I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, I was growing San Marzanos before, and I will address that issue when we come to it if they get too big for the tomato cages. Okay, and on this cattle panel trellis, I have some of my indeterminate tomatoes. They are getting some flowers too. They've reached the trellis. I haven't tied them to it anywhere yet. Oh my goodness, a tomato. These are the first tomatoes that I've seen. That's so exciting. What variety is this? The Big Pink. I grow this one for my youngest child because she saw it at the store and wanted to grow a pink tomato. And she says they are her favorite. She doesn't like any of the other tomatoes because they're her favorite. I think it's just because they're pink, because they don't really taste exceptional in any way. These are the hibiscus I planted last year, and nothing happened to them. This is already bigger than it was last year. And I thought they were all dead. Got some basil right there. And yeah, they came back. I've never had hibiscus survive the winter and come back. So maybe this was not the kind that I want to plant in my vegetable garden, but we will see. If they end up being a perennial thing, then I will probably move them somewhere else. But for now, there they are. The basil here is doing pretty good. So I'm excited about that because I don't usually have the best track record with basil. It doesn't seem to do great for me. But right now, some of this is looking very nice. I mean, there's plants that don't look this nice, but there's several of them that do look nice, especially in this section of the garden. And then I've also got some green onions, some bunching onions here in a few different clumps as we go down. And still waiting to figure out what this mystery tomato is. It's got blooms, so we'll be finding out eventually. Now this next row over here,
Look at this. Look at this.
look at that. It is a rebar post. I put it there so when I water the garden with the hose, then the hose doesn't come and smush my plants. It'll stay outside of the post. So leave it in the ground.
Okay.
Thank you. I planted lettuce here.
Bye-bye.
You're going bye-bye? Okay, see you later.
No, you're in my car.
Oh, you're in a car. Okay, she's pretending to go bye-bye.
Car too.
I planted lettuce here, but it is all going to seed, which is unfortunate. I also planted some cucumber seeds along this trellis here, but none of them have germinated. So I'm going to come back and plant more of those later because that was my favorite variety of cucumber, which is baby Persian. I've got carrots on the other side, but they're very sparse in their germination. This one's doing pretty good. They're still there, but they're a lot smaller than they were this time last year when I grew carrots last year. My peas are starting to dwindle out. There's still a few that need to be picked. We kind of forgot about them for a few days and they've gotten nice and big, but that's okay. We can just pop them open and eat the peas out from inside. It's a pea. Remember we ate some in the garden the other day?
Yeah.
Do you want to eat these?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Can I open them?
Yeah, you can try to open it.
We'll open them both. How about first? No, it don't work first. Oh, how about this?
Do you need some help?
Yeah.
Well, I might not be able to do it with one hand. Oh, there's one.
They're back.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
You can't even eat it.
Here, you can hold it now. What do you think? It's yummy. Glad you like it. You can find Jackson and give him the pod. He'll eat the part that you're not eating after you get all the peas out. Jackson likes pea pods.
What's Jackson?
I don't know. River might eat it. She's right there.
What's River?
Yummy.
I ate it all.
Ate it all. Good job. All right, we'll go find River and see if she'll eat it.
Huh?
Go out that way towards the playground, and then you can go along this fence and give it to the River. She's laying right there.
No, I'm going to.
You don't want to go? All right, that's fine. But we got peas all along here. We need to pick. You're going to pick some more and eat them?
I'm going to do one for me.
One for you.
That one is for Jackson.
That one's for Jackson.
Yeah, and that one for me.
That one's for you. Two
Yeah.
for you and one for Jackson. All right. We'll go find them. We've got calendula here that seems to have bounced back. It was struggling a lot when I first put it in. And then along this trellis with more peas.
There's food on it.
Yep, there's lots and lots of peas. There are more underneath here that are getting shaded out. So when these come out, I think the calendula will do a little bit better. But it's all along the bottom here. And then I had leeks here, but I think that they are all gone. I don't know. I see one little bitty.
I see hand.
You see my hand in the camera?
Yeah.
I see one little leek growing right there. But it was, full of these.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to the camera.
Oh.
Talking to some people on YouTube who are going to hopefully watch this video. And then there's...
You just said buy on TV. You just said buy on TV.
I said bye on your TV. Did you see me on the TV at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
You're so close. Okay.
And then on this side, I planted some onions, and they're not doing fantastic. None of my onions are doing great this year. I planted them all the way down here along with carrots, and then this row is supposed to be all carrots and onions. But as you can see, that is not the case. We've got a bunch of milkweed, which my niece is enjoying the flowers. She thinks they're very pretty. But somewhere in here there are onions that I don't think I'm going to have success with this year, because we're already past the summer solstice, and from what I have read and watched and listened to, all the information I can gather, this is when they stop making more leaves and start producing their bulbs. And they don't have very many leaves. These are probably the best couple of onions in the whole patch, and they're still not very big. We have this kale plant that went to seed, and these are the seed pods. I'll probably just save some of these seeds, not all of them, because
I got one for me.
I mean, obviously,
I got one more for me.
you got one more for you, one more pea for you. Okay, well, enjoy it. I'm just going to let it go to seed and collect the seeds, because I'm almost out of this kind of seed, and then I just won't have to buy it. It's not really affecting the onions. There are onions near it, but also the onions just aren't really growing. There are a few carrots coming up, but again, the germination is like super sparse, and there's tons of weeds in here. I have some plants, some cabbage from last year that seem to be regrowing themselves, which is kind of cool. I don't know that I'll get anything from them. And then just tons of milkweed. There were a couple monarch butterfly caterpillars on some of this milkweed, which was really cool, but then they disappeared, so I figure a bird came and snatched them, which is sad. But unfortunately, I haven't seen any more of the caterpillars. On this end, there's a little better germination with the carrots. So I will need to come in and thin these, because some of them didn't come in pretty good. Still a big disappointment compared to last year, though. Speaking of disappointments, this row is quite the disappointment. I will uncover it so you can see what's going on in there. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Good. These plants just never seemed to recover from the hard freeze we had right after I planted them. And while the cabbage looper moths have not been laying their eggs on here and their caterpillars eating everything, which is why I have the net on, something else is definitely eating these. A lot of it is dead. There's a lot of empty space. What is here is getting munched on heavily by I don't know what. So that is super disappointing. Kind of embarrassing, but you know, I want to be honest here, because not everything goes perfectly. Not everybody has a lush, gorgeous garden that can completely feed their families all summer. And that would be me this year, apparently. And the pak choi immediately went to seed as soon as it was planted, even though it was still getting really cold every night. These are probably doing the best. These are some Copenhagen cabbage, and they're still puny, but they are doing better than everything else that I've planted. I have a couple volunteer potatoes in here. That was sort of a surprise and sort of not, because I did have potatoes here last year. So I've got those 3 different spots with some potatoes that are coming up. Not that we need it, because we've got potatoes elsewhere, but volunteers are fun, especially since nothing else is growing here. So this is a very sad and disappointing area. I do have time if I can get the seeds started like within this next week. Not sure if that's going to happen, because I've got my niece here and she is taking a lot of time and attention that I would normally be spending on gardening, probably. But that's okay. Most of the garden is planted. But if I can get some seeds started for some more varieties that have shorter times that they need to mature, dates to maturity, then, and I've already sorted those out, like these are the ones that I want to start more of. If I can get some of those started and get them in the ground, then I do have time for a few of those varieties, and I can even put frost fabric over the top of them for a few weeks if necessary. So I'm going to try to get that done. We'll see if that actually happens though. And I'll probably plant them in the same spot, but I'll fertilize them when I put them in the holes this time.
Color orange.
It is the color orange. That's a zinnia. It is the first flower that bloomed in the garden this year. Got some more over here. This row I've got more indeterminate tomatoes, a whole bunch more. And some of them are reaching the trellis and some of them are not quite there, but they all look like they're doing really well. Then I've got a bunch of what did you find? You found the tags for the plants over there? Yep. That's so I can remember what they are. I've got celery. And some of the leaves are turning yellow, but the middle ones are still nice and green. And a couple of them, I think, didn't make it, but most of them are still here and still doing pretty good. So on the other side, I've got basils. So everything in this section seems to be doing pretty well. A little more zinnia action. But we are going to have so many tomatoes this year because the deer can't get to them, and I'm very excited about it. What is that? That is a clip that holds this on. So I just put them on like this, and then it holds this fabric down. Do you want to try putting one on? Here, that one goes right here. It's holding it on too. Here, that one goes right here. Don't wander off with it because I'll need it to put this back later. Because there's bugs that want to eat these plants and we want to keep them out, so. Get the tomatoes all the way down. I did have some dill and cumin over here and none of it survived. I put more seeds in the ground and none of them came up. So I guess I'm not getting dill or cilantro or cumin this year, which is unfortunate. These are another variety of calendula. It was called Pink Surprise. They look pink before they open up, and then they're yellow, and then they're kind of pinkish on the backside. You can't do it? That's okay. I'll do them later. Just make sure we don't lose those, okay? We need to know where they are. And then I've also got some more bunching onions over here. This side is kind of weedy. I didn't fully weed this area out, and I probably need to come back and do that at some point.
There's another one.
Yep, there's another plant tag. What does it say?
Please don't touch. Nope.
Calendula Pink Surprise. That's the name of these flowers. Is Pink Surprise Calendula. And the last row over here, I planted some spaghetti squash. I have not seen any of them come up yet, which is unfortunate. The reason I decided to plant spaghetti squash over here is because my doctor just recently told me that I have celiac disease. So, fantastic. Just got good at making regular bread. So I guess now I get to figure out how to make gluten-free bread. I'm really bummed about this. Also because a lot of gluten-free stuff has corn in it, and I also can't eat corn. I've already not been eating corn for three years at least. But yeah, that's just another thing. I apparently need a new skill, so I'm gonna learn how to do gluten-free stuff. But I did the spaghetti squash because of that. My sister was like, hey, you can't have spaghetti. Maybe you could grow spaghetti squash. And I was like, that is a great idea. I have a section left in this garden that I didn't know what I was going to plant. So now I've planted spaghetti squash, which is not coming up. It's been planted for over a week. I'll give it a few more days and then maybe I'll buy another seed packet because I planted the whole seed packet. It was a very small seed packet. Not a lot of seeds in it. Next to the spaghetti squash is my okra. And most of it has germinated. Not all of it, but most of it. And I planted 2 seeds per hole, so I will need to thin it down to 1 plant at some point. They're so itty bitty still. Have not been really successful in growing okra before, and it's probably because in both Indiana and here it's not as hot as in the south, because okra is more of a southern crop. But this year I am hoping that it is going to do great because man has it been hot. I really do not like this weather. It has, like today, it's only in the high 70s, which isn't too bad. But this is usually what I'm like, oh man, it's hot. Like, I'm hot right now, but it's been in the 80s and 90s for weeks, and it's going to get back up into the 80s. Like, I mean, I think the high today is 78, so it's close, but tomorrow it's supposed to be even hotter. And there seems to be no end in sight. It's not a heat wave, it's just heat. It's just here, and it's hot. And it's not like a few days and it's gone like I thought it was going to be. It is just so hot and so humid and very uncomfortable. But a lot of the plants, thankfully, seem to be loving it, and I'm hoping the okra will love it. And I'll actually get to have some okra this year. We're moving over to this new section of garden, and the first thing is potatoes. We've got almost 2 full rows of potatoes here. This one's got green beans in it as well. These are all the ones that were in the basement from last year. I didn't know if they were going to have enough energy to do anything, but they sure did. And then this row is the seed potatoes that I bought on this end and on that end, and then in the middle is the ones from the basement. And these seed potatoes, I think these are the red ones. I forget what the name of them was, but they seem to be coming up a lot more sparsely than I expected for having, you know, actual seed potatoes versus ones that I'd saved myself. There are some little ones that seem to have just come up, so maybe they're just being very slow to come out of the ground, but they've been in the ground for quite a while. And then this is a big gap here that I think is actually basement potatoes, so that's okay. And then I did notice down here the other day, these are the russet potatoes, that these are definitely have just come up because they're still pushing the hay out of their way. So this block of the russet potatoes is filling out pretty nicely, and they have flowers on them. They've got little buds forming on them. Oh, that one's open. They're kind of pretty. Last year I pulled all the flowers off, thinking that they should, you know, put energy into their tubers, the potatoes themselves. I don't know if that was necessary or not, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this year or not because there's a lot more of them. But I'll do a little research and see if I really need to do that or not. And then, of course, we got more potatoes here. There's one row that goes all the way down. You're going inside? Okay. Tell Uncle Nick that you're in there when you get there, okay? So he knows you're inside. But come back here if you can't open the door. You're not going in? Changed your mind? Okay, she doesn't want to tell Uncle Nick. She loves Uncle Nick, by the way. They used to live together because he was living with his parents when he was working in Indiana. And then her and her mom were also living with grandparents when they were in Indiana. So they got super close. Isn't that right? You love Uncle Nick? She's saying yes. I think I need to take her in. I'm not sure she can do the screen door. She looks like she needs some water. She is a sweater. So I'll be back in a minute to finish this garden tour. While I'm up here by the house, I will show you my green stock. Everything is going to seed. Should have the cosmos are basically done, I think. I don't know if we're going to get any more blooms, but the only thing that's still looking good is my strawberry spinach. Check this stuff out. You can actually pick these little berry clusters off, which look more like a raspberry than a strawberry. And they dye your fingers pink too. They're sweet, they're very seedy, and they have like a grassy aftertaste. They're not fantastic. And of course the leaves on the strawberry spinach are so small right now. Maybe just because it's in the green stock, it's in such a small area, because I've grown them in the ground before and the leaves get nice and really big, just like a spinach would. And they taste similar to spinach. So in my experience, the strawberry spinach has been easier to grow. This year they just didn't do well. Most of them died before I even got to transplant them. But this one plant is I dropped it. But this one plant is alive and not bitter. It still tastes good. So maybe I can't really add it to a salad because there's not enough other salad greens to make a salad with, unless I buy some at the store and then just pull a couple of those leaves to add. Seems a little silly. But I'll probably pull all that stuff out and plant new lettuces for the fall. I should probably start indoors because it is so hot here. So if I get to start those brassicas I was talking about, then I'll probably also start the lettuces at the same time. And I will show you my herbs while we're up here as well. Here we've got a mint. I can't remember if this is peppermint or chocolate mint. I had one up here and I had one on the back porch. I'm thinking this is peppermint because the stems are not very dark. I think the chocolate mint has like chocolatey kind of stems. And then this is the black opal basil that was here last year, went to seed and reseeded, which is cool. And then my chives, they have all flowered. I really need to come pull all these seed heads off before it reseeds itself. I would like to put this in a more permanent spot that's not in the same pot as something else that takes over, because, you know, this takes over and that takes over. And I would like the chives in its own place, and I would be fine with it spreading a little bit depending on where I put it. But I don't want it to spread into this pot some more. And this next pot, I've got some oregano and basil and rosemary. I purchased all three of these plants at the store. And the rosemary does not overwinter here, I don't think. At least it didn't last year. And of course the basil will not overwinter. It will die as soon as the frost comes. But the oregano should be a perennial. And hey, if the rosemary survives, fantastic. But I put them all in the same pot because I didn't think these two would survive, and that one could just have this pot to itself next year. This pot, I have some echinacea that I started last year, and it's so incredibly tiny still. I hadn't decided where I was going to plant it in the ground, and I really need to do that soon. Obviously, this isn't getting moved because it is so incredibly small. But over here is stuff that I have not started yet. A lot of it has died, unfortunately. Like, I had a bunch of bee balm. It got so hot, and I forgot to check to see if these needed water, and they all died. This is some lupine that I want to get planted in my flower beds, and a bunch of rhubarb. Some of it died, and some of it survived the first few days of that heat wave. And then I've got butterfly weed and a whole bunch more echinacea. Over here, every single one of my cosmos died, and my chamomile died. Looks like my Shasta daisy survived, but I had mallow growing in there too, and it did not survive. And then these are leeks that I just never got planted, which they're still alive. The ones in the garden are not alive. These are, which variety are these? These are the American flag leek. There was a different variety in the vegetable garden, like Corantin or something like that. I don't remember the pronunciation of, but yeah, that's all of the stuff I haven't planted yet that I started. And my herbs. Last year I had a pot on the back porch with lemon balm and what I believe is the chocolate mint, and those died over the winter. Those are both perennials. They shouldn't have died, but the reason they died is because they were up on the deck of the porch and not on the ground. If I'd moved the pot to the ground, they would have survived, but I didn't think about it. I just didn't think about it, and so hopefully I can get another start of chocolate mint for my sister. I've got 2 seed packets of lemon balm that I was hoping to till an area in the backyard along the tree line and just heavily sow the lemon balm seeds there and just let it take over, because I would like to grow lots and lots and lots of lemon balm for medicinal reasons, and just because I love it as a tea. So that hasn't gotten done yet, but hopefully it will get done before it's too late for it to establish itself, so that next year it can be fantastic and growing a lot. But let us get back to the main vegetable garden. We're in this row with the potatoes and green beans. So yeah, this is a whole row of potatoes, like half a row of potatoes and half a row of green beans, and then a row of green beans. These are all Blue Lake bush beans. I bought a huge bulk package of them, and they are doing pretty good. They germinated pretty well. I did 2 seeds per hole. I mean, there's a few open spots, but overall, I'm happy with it. And they are looking like they're going to start getting flowers soon. Like, this looks like it's going to be some flowers. And, you know, those are all over most of the plants. So hopefully soon we will be getting green beans. My goal with planting this many green beans is to have a year's worth canned and in the pantry so that we can not buy green beans at the store. Because my family loves green beans, and I know some people don't like canned green beans, but that is what both my and my husband's family grew up on, was canned green beans, and we like them that way. So my kids will eat like a whole quart of green beans. I usually can them in pints because sometimes they'll eat a whole thing and sometimes they will not eat a whole thing. It depends on the day and what I'm making with it, but sometimes they will eat tons and tons of green beans in one meal. So I would like to have tons and tons of green beans in my pantry, and I think I'm going to be successful in that because these are doing fantastic. Next to that, I've got my summer squashes. I planted cucamelons in these 3 holes here and was going to put a trellis up here. I've got a really cool trellis over there by the house that I brought with me from our previous garden. It's made out of bicycle wheels, and I was going to use it to grow the cucamelons up. One plant sprouted and then something ate it. It just disappeared. So unfortunately, I'm not growing cucamelons this year because I don't have any more seeds. I have never successfully grown them. Hopefully next year I'll be able to grow them. These are some summer squash. I've got golden zucchini here, and I've got several holes of the summer squashes that didn't germinate, so I'm going to come back through here and replant them. These are the Italian striped zucchini. I've got one early prolific straight neck that came up. Not very early or prolific, it's looking like. It is the smallest plant of all of the summer squashes right now. This one is a white scallop squash. These are like a patty pan variety. They've grown pretty well for me in the past. Last year they didn't grow at all, but in Indiana I had a great success with growing them. These are yellow crooknecks, and these are 8-ball zucchini. It's like a round zucchini, and hopefully they will do well this year. I've got a couple of Aunt Molly's ground cherries, which I have never grown before. I've tried to grow them before without success, and this is definitely the best that they've ever done for me because usually they wouldn't even germinate. This is the first year that they've germinated and survived all the way to being put in the garden, so that is fantastic. These are my peppers that I made a video of planting these, and most of them are doing really well. There was never anything planted in that hole, so I don't know. I'll come put a flower in there or something. I was going to put my cosmos in empty holes, but they all died, so now I don't know what I'm going to plant there. But down here are, I believe, the habanadas, and then nadapenos, bell peppers of different varieties. That one did not make it. These two are dying. I didn't even bother staking them because I was pretty sure they weren't going to make it. And that one didn't make it, but these are all bell peppers here. And then my shishito peppers. And I actually have some peppers. There's the first one. I'll let it keep growing a little bit, but this one has a pepper on it too. I need to come back and actually tie these to the stakes because they're just, a lot of them are falling over. But a lot of these shishitos have peppers on them. That is super exciting. They're so delicious. Just blister them in a pan with like a garlic aioli sauce to dip them in, and they're fantastic. And then I have my jalapenos, 2 different varieties of jalapenos, and cayenne peppers. So I'm going to try to make my own dried cayenne pepper powder for this next year, and I'm pretty excited about that. Then I have this row here, needs a trellis. So it's going to get T-posts and cattle panels because we have got cucumbers down here. Got several different varieties. There's a white cucumber, Bay Alpha, Ashley, Muncher, Pickle Bush, probably something else. And there's a few holes that didn't germinate. There's 2 seeds per hole, and 2 are coming up in some of the holes. I'll probably cut off one so that there's just 1 per hole. These are the Munchers, and only a couple of those germinated. I don't think I have any more of those seeds either, so I'd have to put a different variety in those holes if I decide to do that. And then these are the Ashley 1 hole germinated. So that was pathetic. Hopefully, like overall, the ones that have germinated, they look good. So I'm hoping this will be a good cucumber year because last year I got 2 or 3 of the teeny tiny little baby Persians, and that was it for the whole year for cucumbers, and that made me sad. So hopefully this year will be a bigger, better cucumber year because I'd like to make pickles. These are more indeterminate tomatoes, the same varieties that I've got on the other two trellises. And they are looking fantastic. I mean, these were planted at least a week, maybe 2 weeks after the original first planting of tomatoes. And some of these are just as big, if not bigger, which this being a brand new space is kind of awesome. I did put fertilizer in these holes when I was planting them, so that could be why they're doing good. But I don't know. I'm happy about it. This one especially. This one is nice and big and bushy. I have come and done a little bit of pruning. No, actually, I don't think I made it down here to prune because the mosquitoes are starting to get so bad. I pruned the row here and the row over there, but I don't think I pruned over here. So I'll have to come back and do that, but I'll probably wait until the trellis gets up. And then here, the rest of this is pumpkins, winter squash, and melons. And then these little holes here down between the pumpkin and melon plants, I have put sunflower seeds. So far, I think this might be the only one that has germinated, but hopefully we'll get some more germination pretty soon. So let me tell you what varieties I've got going on here for these squash. Now, some of these I will let have multiple per hole, but some of these I will cut back to just one per hole. These in particular, I saved from a gigantic white watermelon pumpkin, a gigantic white pumpkin that my niece, she took 2 of my kids to a pumpkin patch, and they convinced her to buy them this humongous, like 30-some pound white pumpkin. And so I saved some seeds from it. That's been a few years, but they germinated beautifully. Like almost every single seed germinated. And so I think I'm going to cut these down to just having one per hole so they can hopefully get really big again, like the mother pumpkin that they came from. And then this next row I saved from a carving pumpkin, like a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. And they're coming up really well too. So these I might do one per hole so that they can hopefully get bigger. But these are miniature pumpkins, this row. There's 3 holes of miniature orange and 3 holes of miniature white. And I'll probably let them, just all of them grow that germinated. These need to be resown. Here is some sugar baby watermelon. And why is there watermelon in between pumpkins instead of with the rest of the watermelon, which are on the other end? That is because some of the varieties I was going to put multiple rows of, but I ran out of seeds. So I got down here and I knew I wanted the big pumpkins, like pumpkins, decorative pumpkins, I guess, over on this side. And then the eating pumpkins over on this side. So I put the watermelon down the middle. This is a green striped cushaw that it's from saved seed from a squash that I got from my sister. It was in the pantry during the pantry challenge, and they make excellent pumpkin pies. So does Mus de Provence, which I have grown successfully before. These were also saved seeds, which there's 2 holes that I need to replant, but they are doing so well. These are so beautiful, just the plants themselves. Look how pretty these leaves are. I mean, this is the green striped cushaw. They're pretty neat, but the Mus de Provence have got to be my favorite leaves. They are just so beautiful. And then these are, pretty plain Jane. These are Dickinson pumpkins. These make excellent pumpkins for a pumpkin pie also. Of course, I'll have to figure out a gluten-free crust for pumpkin pie because now I can't have a traditional pie crust anymore. But That's okay. And then these are sugar pumpkins, like small pie pumpkins. And that was the original planting, and then I reseeded the rest of these holes, and yet still nothing's coming up, but it hasn't been that long. I'll give these a few more days before I try to reseed. Then we have Burgess Buttercup Winter Squash. These took forever to germinate, and I don't have any more seeds for them, so I'm hoping the rest of them will also germinate. This one just came up. It still has the seed stuck to it, so there's still hope. That hole is empty, and the one down at the end is empty, but the rest finally germinated something. And I gotta come back up and look at the tags to tell you what is in the next holes. Table King Bush Acorn Squash. When I was planting these, it did not click in my head that these were a bush squash instead of a vining squash like everything else I've planted over here. And these also took a very long time to come up. But finally they did. I didn't think that they were going to germinate at all. And then these are an early acorn squash. They germinated a lot faster than the Table King. But there are still a couple empty holes. One of these varieties I don't have any more seeds for, and the other one I do, I think. So they may or may not get replanted in the holes that there's nothing in. Then I have Delicata Winter Squash. I've got 2 rows of the Delicata. A couple, looks like 3 of the holes I'm going to replant. And then Sweet Dumpling Squash. This was the one I did not have enough seeds to plant 2 rows, and I wanted to plant 2 rows. And unfortunately, it looks like only 2 holes worth are going to germinate. So I might end up putting more put more Delicata in this row because they're both really good. But unfortunately, there's no more seeds of the Sweet Dumpling that I have to put there. This row is Honeydew Melons, and they are looking pretty good. Some more Sugar Baby Watermelon. And these are Moon and Star Watermelon. They are just starting to germinate. I had a really old seed packet of these, and none of them germinated, not one single seed. But I also had some saved seeds from one that we grew one year successfully, which was really nice. And so I planted those, and those are starting to germinate. So I'll give these another week or so before I start reseeding this area again. But then after that, that's probably not going to be enough time to grow them. Actually, I might already not have time. And the niece left these behind. She was just running around all over the place. She opted to stay inside for the rest of the garden tour. She was hot, and it was lunchtime, so Uncle Nick is making her some lunch while I'm out here finishing this up. But thank you for coming along with me on this garden tour. It was exciting to finally get it done. I've been wanting to do it for a while. Some of the things this year are just kind of embarrassing how terrible they're doing. Very disappointing, but then there's other things like the tomatoes are doing so much better than last year. The green beans are doing amazing. The pumpkins and melons are exciting that they're growing and doing so well right now. My peas have done great. Even though I've kind of neglected them over the past few days, there's definitely a bunch that need to get picked. But overall, I think it's going to be a successful garden year, and I can't wait for the next garden tour to see how much everything has changed. Hopefully this okra will shoot up and get big by then. But thank you for coming along with me on this, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.